Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is the eighth episode of the podcast from employee to entrepreneur. And again, this is Petra Lohmeyer. And welcome that you're coming here. This is wonderful that you have come this far. That means that you are really interested in this and that you are prepared to make some investment in terms of time. And I really don't take this lightly. Now, this is probably the last podcast from this location. And that is why I put this into my favorite spot here. This is a beautiful spot in a nature reserve, and I'll show you a little bit around here. So this is Albufeira, the nature reserve. We can just as well turn around. This is beautiful here. And I'm not sure how well it comes over, but right over there, about 500 meters away is the beach, and a nice sandy beach with the waves rolling in. You can maybe hear them in the background when the wind isn't quite that bad. So anyway, where we got was basically that the last time I took you to almost where we are now. So basically we're I mean, if you want to take a look at all the different things that I tried. So what this is for employees who want to become entrepreneurs, but also for those who are training employees who want to become entrepreneurs, because usual entrepreneur training is more geared towards people who are already entrepreneurial, who have a little bit of a different mindset than a usual employee. And employees need a little bit more um, some areas covered a little bit more that entrepreneurs are covering automatically, or people who are thinking like entrepreneurs are covering automatically. So the whole hustle bit, for example, is something that entrepreneurs have in their blood, which employees don't, because they're we well, I wasn't necessarily always an employee, but I worked in a consultant role where I didn't have to do much marketing and sales, because I was referred on without me even asking for referrals. So I never really had to do the whole sales and marketing thing. And if you haven't, then you tend to get conditioned in a certain way to think about sales and marketing in a certain way, which then is a real problem when you become a normal entrepreneur who sells B2C or sells B2B into a bigger market than I ever had to sell into. And so I'll show you a little bit all the different things that I did. Initially I showed you all the different things about websites, and it is training that I picked these things up from. It is from entrepreneurs and from marketeers who told me to do all these different things. So I followed what they were telling me. And in the different podcasts up until now, I told you the different things that I did, building websites, building funnels, doing a webinar, doing a video course, and all these different things that people keep telling you. Oh, write a book. People keep telling you that, you just do this one big thing, and then, customers keep flocking to you. And then they don't. So I showed you the little things, and what I learned from it, what was good about it, what was really helpful, what still helps me now, but also the things that really didn't work, and the little traps and pitfalls that I found. So this is the last one in the series, which means from now on, it will not, this podcast or a video, wherever you're looking at it from, will not be quite as regular. I will still go on and post these on occasion, but I will wait until I actually have something to post. So where we got last time was that I finally decided, okay, the whole marketing thing online at the moment is maybe not the best thing. You should really be starting off person by first person, get referrals, and then you can, extend it into the whole marketing online thing, and then, go further by ads and so on and so forth. So what I thought is I move here, where there's a lot of English and German tourists, because, I kind of had to leave the UK because of Brexit and, some of the politics there. And I thought, okay, there's a lot of people here who speak my language. So what I could basically do, or one of the languages, and what I could basically do is provide shows, because I used to be in entertainment. I used to be a singer. I used to be an actress. So one of the entry points of my funnel was a show, which was a mixture between basically musical songs and life coaching, and a little bit of demonstration there. And the other one was a nature walk, because one of the things that I'm really passionate about, that is at the base of a lot of what I do, is finding win-win situations between humans and animals. And I'm sitting here where I got stuck on my little journey, including during COVID-19, is right next to a nature reserve, which we are in right now. So I thought I'll provide a walk through the nature reserve, give a little bit of, have people soak up this energy from this place, and then also provide a little bit of life coaching. And then with both shows, I can upsell at the end. That was the idea. And it was so much fun to create the shows. I was ready to go, and I had the first client, and then COVID-19 hit. And now there's no tourists anymore, and they're not coming back. I mean, there are tourists, but they're Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, certainly not that well that I could, do this at that level, at the level that I would want to do. And I know how long it takes to learn a language. I could start learning Spanish now, but it takes years. And I know that because I learned English, right? I learned English as an adult, and it took years to go to a level where I could really express the things that would help people, where you also understand the culture behind it a little bit, and the different cultures, American culture, English culture, all these different differences between them, that you can actually help people. I started that in the Spanish market now. I mean, it's going to take me years before I even start working. So I thought that really doesn't make sense. So when COVID-19 basically destroyed my pretty new business model, I went back to online marketing. I thought, okay, what can I do? And I looked, and sorry, I'm just looking at if my camera is still working, because sometimes it kind of cuts out in the middle of it, and I keep talking and, having all this wonderful conversation with myself, and nobody's listening to it. Anyway, so it's still working. So what I did during COVID-19 was I thought I'll section the audience. I knew a little bit about the background. I wasn't afraid of the virus. So I thought I can keep all this hype out of my psychology and just take a look at, how different people reacted, who would be my ideal client. And that way I could section the audience, just as was taught in one of the courses that I had taken before, that you section the audience of different people, some who, may be interested in coaching, some who may be interested in win-win situations with the environment, and I had like 4 different categories that I put people into. And the idea then is, which was what was suggested by one of the marketeers, is you section them in a different sections, and then you send an invitation to these to go to a certain group, and then when they're in their group, then you can market, right? Okay, so that was the idea. I thought, okay, that's what they're telling me to do, so that's what I'll do. After 2 weeks, I almost went nuts. It was just so much negativity, and it wasn't just the negativity itself. It was, even when it was masked as something positive, at some point it was just all pouring in. I decided, okay, I need to stick out of this. And I also realized this was not my audience. I had over 4,000 people in my audience, and none of them were my ideal client. So the whole idea of marketing, attracting the clients who are your ideal clients and repelling those who aren't, didn't work for me at all. Although I had been very clear about who I am, what I believe in all my posts, it didn't seem to have any effect on the audience that I attracted, which means that most of the audience that I attracted, have absolutely no use for any services that I can provide. So that was a little bit of a wake-up call. So I decided it was not healthy to stick with this. And then I also wondered if I market myself as a full-time coach, if that was actually the right thing to do. Because I saw all these coaches online, and initially when I had decided to call myself a coach, I had looked at the absolute top coaches in the world, and I wanted to be like them. So and they were so knowledgeable about so many things, psychology and business and so on and so forth, that I thought, yeah, being a coach, that's a great thing to do. But then I saw all these other coaches who were marketing themselves online, and some of them had like 2 days of training and absolutely no business background or anything else at all, and it was all new agey. You found the same memes, going on everywhere, and the same kinds of wisdom that was kind of fortune cookie wisdom. And I thought, okay, if I market myself as that is what people will perceive. And I do believe in life coaching. I do believe in business coaching. I do believe in all these techniques that I've learned, which are incredibly helpful, but they are only helpful if they're really applied in a way that is concrete to the situation, that is gives a concrete business gain or a concrete gain within the family. And sometimes I have done this in coaching sessions before, and I've also seen it done, that it was incredibly valuable, but that is not how I perceived the marketing that was out there. So I then decided to, even somebody like Tony Robbins, who basically fathered the whole coaching industry because he came up, as far as I know, with this term, which nobody used before. He's not calling himself a coach anymore. He's calling himself a business strategist because he is kind of embarrassed of the whole coaching industry because there are some very, very good coaches out there, but there are also people, as I said, who have 2 days of training and really no life experience. And then they start coaching other people in their lives. So this is just, it didn't sit well with me. And I have, over 10 years, over a decade of experience at the highest level in terms of change management. I've got over 2 decades of experience, in my own life with some very radical changes. I've got a lot of background in psychology and in a lot of different sciences. So I thought, okay, maybe it is a better idea if I market myself as I did before as a business consultant, because I did have a consultancy in England, right? That I am a business consultant who also provides coaching services, which is important in certain areas of life because 80% of business, as a lot of other coaches out there in business consultants say, 80% of business is psychology, and that is what life coaching addresses. The other thing is also that, so this was a little bit like the branding issue that you have with change manager or project manager, especially in an industry like investment banking. A project manager in building, in real estate may actually be a real project manager. But if you take a look at somebody in investment banking, a lot of times the project manager and the change manager, they're kind of the secretary of the legal department. They decide nothing. They have no idea what's going on. So if you then market yourself as a project manager or a change manager instead of as a lawyer, you're basically completely negating the market value that you have. And I perceive that the same thing to be here. And that is why I went back to calling myself a business consultant. Plus, the upside of that was also that senior people could hire me as a business consultant and not be perceived as somebody who needs a life coach, because a lot of people still don't realize what life coaches are or what business coaches are and think that it's a therapist, and then there's the stigma of mental disease there and so on and so forth. So if somebody then hires me, they can call me a business consultant, and even if I help them with certain issues in their family, marital issues, or issues with their children, for example, or certain things in their own mindset that get in the way of their business, they're not perceived by others as weak, but they simply hired a business consultant to help them with a certain problem. So I thought that was a better branding strategy for me. So that's what I went back to. So basically what I did on Facebook, then I got rid of all the pimps and people who wanted to sell me all kinds of porn and so on and so forth. Got rid of all of those. Got rid of the people who really I had nothing in common with and who could also were not really my clients. And then I kind of decided that once I got down to 1,500 or so, I thought, okay, I got to stop here. Facebook is probably not my audience. And that was also when I was reading a marketing book which kind of explained which audience are where. And I come back to that book a little bit later. So just checking that this is still, and my lovely camera cut out. So I'm starting again with what I did next. I looked at LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a platform that seems to work quite well for me because people are actually looking at my stuff. Not necessarily if I forward something from people that I believe in or, initiatives with regards to win-win situation with nature, those don't seem to be looked at all that much. But what people do look at is if I write something myself. And sometimes I can get over 100 views, although I only have between 300 and 400 people. I think it's about 400 now. So it's really quite amazing how many people look at this, especially also to take a look at the makeup of the people who look at this, because some of them are very, very senior. And weirdly enough, of course, my stats seemed to not work anymore after I pointed that out one time. I think they didn't like me to, that I could actually see who was looking at it. Some of my ex-employers and stuff, who look at almost every post I post. But it is still a great platform for me. Unfortunately, nobody ever buys anything. I mean, the only time somebody ever bought something was when I was DMing ticket to a certain event from somebody else. But people do look at my stuff. Sometimes they even comment or like it, but they don't buy anything. So that works in terms of branding maybe, but it does not work in terms of sales. So then I found out about challenges, and there was somebody who was teaching challenges online, and I kind of forgot the name right now, unfortunately, but he was doing a really good job and kind of connecting how challenges work so you can actually sell something at the end. And I did the course and I did the challenge myself, and through it I found the perfect audience because I realized the audience is more like me, right? And I knew that before, but I didn't realize what aspect of me because I've done so many things in my life. I've been in so many different environments. I've picked up so many different things that I wasn't quite sure which part of me I should be marketing to, right? And then I realized, there are so many people out there who when they were younger, when they were at university, for example, or at college or whatever, really believed in the environment. But at the time, there weren't the resources there. There was no support from people who really um, can make a difference. So they kind of gave up and sold out, or at least had the feeling they sold out. Like I was wondering if I was doing for a while, but in reality, maybe we didn't sell out at all. Maybe we just got all the skills, all the resources that we need, the education, the money, the contacts, the influence, the knowledge about how business works, and so on and so forth, which I can now use, or we can now use as a group to make a difference, which comes at a great time because there is so much confluence of influences now that, you know, really, really rich people are suddenly interested in the environment because their houses are being blown away, or their children, or they themselves get mercury poisoning, or their supply chain is blown to bits. So suddenly people get interested, and then they think, okay, how are we going to feed all these people in the developing world who suddenly all want meat? If so we have to look at meat alternatives, that's taste like meat, or clean meat, which is cruelty free and is being grown by stem cells and could be much cheaper and much more sustainable. And so there's so many different things out there that we can now contribute to. And I mean, take a look at also at the demographics as well, because the people now who are my age are probably going to retire soon. And what are they going to do now? It used to be that if you retired, you would basically wait to die, right? So there is actually a study, I think, done by some of the insurances, because they have to take a look at what premiums they want to take from people for life insurances. And most men die within 5 years of retirement. And the theory is that it is because they don't have a life purpose anymore. And how sad is that? Most of the time they worked in jobs that they didn't even like, and then they retire the thing that they work towards their entire life, and then they die within 5 years. But now the life expectancy is supposed to be 120 years. And, if you get retired at 55, what are you going to do until 120 years, which is it is supposed to be in a few years? It's 65 years. What are you going to do? Wait to die? I mean, why not use all these resources that you have accumulated, all this knowledge, all this money, all this, all this power in some cases, in order to do exactly what you used to believe in? And there's all this technology as well that is suddenly available that wasn't available then. So this is basically the perfect audience that I found. Still going to have to find a way to connect to them, but that was one of the things that came out of this challenge. And then I decided to do a challenge. I wrote it and I designed it, and I thought, okay, this is perfect, and I just wanted to announce it. And then Tony Robbins announced that he was going to do a challenge himself, and he has a little bit more of a marketing budget than me, a few more people in the audience. So I thought, okay, maybe it's not a good idea if I do this at the same time as him. So I did his challenge instead, figured out that he was using exactly the same structure as I had been taught, which was interesting, and I took good notes on it. So I now have tool in my pocket which I can use in future, when I get around to it. Because at the moment I'm actually in a break over point because I have something planned, and I'll get to that later. So I can't do the challenge right now, but it is something that I'm thinking of doing in the future. Now, the next thing I did was I read yet another marketing book. I've read so many marketing and sales books. Did different courses online and bought some, and they were all valuable, and some of them were incredibly valuable actually from a psychological point of view. But the practical side in it, that book was actually the first time that I realized and understood a few things that I hadn't understood before, and that was Russell Brunson's Traffic Secrets book. And that is also what showed me why all my Facebook, advertising that I thought I was doing, marketing I thought I was doing, wasn't working because of that Facebook algorithm. Nobody saw what I put online. And I thought there were thousands of people seeing it. So you can do a lot of work. And if you just don't know a tiny little bit, you do all that work for nothing. Well, it wasn't for nothing in my case because I practiced a lot, and I have a lot of material that I can now use. But it was very good that I actually found out about this. I also found out, of course, that where my audience probably is, and it is not on Facebook necessarily, it is not on Instagram necessarily, but it is quite more likely on either LinkedIn or YouTube or a podcast even most likely probably. So I decided to do a podcast as that is my audience demographic, which is kind of this podcast at the moment, and also shoot it as a video so I can put it on YouTube as well, because then it is evergreen. It is not going away like on Facebook. The Facebook lives are great, but they disappear in your feed, which also nobody really tells you. It is not a value that keeps on giving value. It's not evergreen. Then I thought shortly about, should I maybe at this point, I've looked at all this internet marketing and, some of this may work in the future, but it's really unclear whether it's going to work, and especially with COVID-19, where all these huge, big entities who are usually not really a competition because they do their huge events that are, really expensive to people, and but they are not locally around. So you can do your little events that are less expensive, and you are on the location. But now at this point, nobody can do any events, so everybody goes on the internet, and there are these huge guys, like Tony Robbins, like all these other people who are doing these events online, and they're giving half of the stuff away for free. So who's going to come to you if they can go to him and get it all for free, right? So there's a bit of an issue of actually making money with this at the moment. Of course, for him and for all the others who are doing this at the moment, who have a big list already, who have a big audience already, this is an ideal time to bring in more audience and to help more people. I'm not against that because they're really helping people right now, and a lot of people need help right now. But that also means that for me, that is, I may have to, well, even if I have a niche that is outside and an audience that is outside theirs, just to get somebody's attention with all this stuff going on online is very difficult. So I thought maybe at this point I am far enough that I've looked at all this advertisement. I'm not a marketing expert by any stretch, but I have a very good idea now. I've put so much work in that I do have momentum. I will keep going. So maybe it is a time now to take a look at a money job, and maybe in something like animal care that I get the right contacts, or in education that I work on influencing skills and leadership skills, and take a look at, that I get a little bit of security on that side, that I can then after work, do the whole marketing thing again, and look at stuff. But another possibility also, which is kind of where I ended up after UPW, which was just, the virtual UPW that just finished, is I could also put all that I have into full stream selling mode, and that is actually really what I need to do. That is really what I need to get out of this whole thing. And the UPW really assisted with that. And the weird thing is I'm already doing a lot of the things now that I haven't been able to in the last 3 years. And it is weird because it was a virtual UPW, and the presence wasn't as overpowering, because maybe that is why I got a few things out of it this time that I didn't get in the real events. Because in the real events, Tony has a massive personality. I mean, you can talk about aura, you can talk about charisma or whatever it is, but if he really turns it on, he gets too close to you, your brain goes like mush. You don't, you just go, you don't see, don't understand anything anymore, because the emotional side of your brain is taken over and kind of shuts out the logic. This time, although there was a lot still coming through the screen, it was muted, which means the logical side of my brain wasn't shut off. And I heard a few things that I didn't hear before, although I've been to this program a lot of times. So there were, some of the things you will never get on a virtual side. You really have to go to the event, because it is just so much more powerful on an emotional side to actually get you there. But on the other hand, some of the things are actually better to hear at home, because you don't get quite so overwhelmed by, if you are sensitive to this kind of thing. And I didn't know I was. Turns out I am, you know. Anyway, so I decided to put everything into selling. And obviously Spanish clients aren't my clients, simply because of the language, but also there may also be a kind of a buying power issue there. German and English tourists are not going to come here, certainly not for the next year probably. And they would also only have been my clients for a while. I just wanted to recover here and then go back to somewhere. And so really need to, proximity is power, right? I really need to go where my clients are. And England is kind of out at the moment because of Brexit and all the politics around it. Germans aren't very liked there right now, obviously, which has nothing to do with me. But they can't get to Merkel, but they can get to me. America isn't the greatest place to be right now either. I always loved America, but there are some issues with the panic about COVID-19 right now, and also I don't have a visa, so it is Germany. So I will go to Germany. There are some issues with that culture as well, but there's some issues about rigidity towards change, and if you want to teach change management, that could be an issue. The way that women are viewed in West Germany, at least, or the previous West Germany, is very different, and that is going to be an obstacle. But these are challenges that can be overcome. And if I want to go for a money job on the side, at least I speak the language, which helps if you are, looking for a money job where you can make a little bit of a baseline um, before you hit, the real dream that you're going after. So I will also keep going on LinkedIn and making contact with people on LinkedIn, which is something that is actually suddenly really something that I enjoy. I enjoy making contact with people all of a sudden. Even the challenges, even if I find a troll over there, who just attacks me the second I make contact, just to deal with that situation, to understand why he's acting that way, to find new models of how to sell them and get around this, to find ways to contact people. Suddenly, that is not scary anymore. Before, I would get a troll and I would kind of crumble within myself, and then don't want to do it anymore. And then I'd think about making contact with people, but I wouldn't. This time, I actually got more energy out of it. I actually, that guy attacked me, and I actually got more energy to reach more people. It was a completely different change in mindset. I've never had that before. Well, I had that before when I was much younger, but this is a completely new thing in the last few years, suddenly, and that is a very good development. Now, obviously, there are some things that I need to deal with. I have to get the plates on my car properly in order to get over the border. I have to get my some of the smallest kittens that I rescued here vaccinated, that I can get them over the border. I can't leave them here and leave them to die. So there are a few things that I have to sort out, and hopefully I can do this before COVID-19 hits again and I'm stuck here again, because that would not be a good thing. I mean, it would be great from a comfort point of view. I'm sitting in the sun, it's not too cold even in winter. I can, even in winter on the 1st of January, I went into the ocean. I went jogging on the beach and went into the ocean. But I'm trading now the comfort that I have here for a future, a future of success where I can actually contribute at the highest level, contribute at a level that I can really contribute to. That's not just for me. That's not just that I'm important. It is important that I can help the people that I really want, that I can help the animals that I really want, that I can help those who have nobody else. Because that is really what drives me, that I can help those who have nobody else, who nobody else cares about. That is what you should really, what I really want to use money for. And money that comes in from clients is just, it's just the mechanics. I'm not, I'm not selling my service in order to get money. I'm selling my services in order to help animals that have been abandoned. I'm selling my services in order to help women and little children that are in the slave trade. And the money that is coming in is just the mechanics of how I'm doing this. It's just a thing in the supply chain basically, and has nothing to do with it's an exchange of my services against somebody helping me to take care of somebody else. So that is really what this is about. And yeah, um, hold on, let me just take a look. What else? Right. So people always say you should be playing to your strengths. But if you only play to your strengths, you don't necessarily grow. So I was thinking, selling and marketing isn't my strength. Um, my strength is change management in corporations. I've proven that, beyond a doubt. And I've gotten around politics where other people didn't get around. And I did finish projects where, my managers who hired me told me that they thought it was impossible to do it. And I did it in time and successfully. I've also found that coaching is really something that comes quite naturally to me, in all these different techniques, because I have been around Tony and around around this whole life coaching thing at a very high level for very 3 years now, at a very intense level. These techniques come to me, and I find when I do coach people, which I do regularly, um, whether it is for free or not, I do find that I find the right techniques, and I do find that there is a breakthrough every time. So I know that I can do this too. So I am ready. So I'm ready to do this. What I'm not good at yet is marketing and sales. So the idea could be that I outsource marketing and sales to somebody else and just concentrate on my strengths. But for one thing, if you outsource something, it is better that you actually know what you're doing, because otherwise you can't lead the people you're outsourcing to. And especially in something like marketing, there's a lot of sharks out there who are very happy to take your money and don't deliver, right? But it's more than that. I realized that this whole selling thing, there's a reason why I need to do this now. And it has nothing to do with the job or nothing to do with the mission, but if I break through in this here, and I managed to start selling stuff. I managed to start growing the business, and I get all these techniques in place. It will help me in every single area of my life. If I have that influence, it will help not only raise money in future for animal or human charities. It will help me in relationships. It will help me even in intimate relationships. It will help me everywhere where I go if I manage to break through in this. So this is really something, they always say it's not the goal you're after, it's what you become on the way to the goal. And this is the first time that I really understood this, because if I get to the goal that I want to get to, what I become will be much more valuable for those that I want to help. So this is the next thing. We all have a responsibility to use what we've been given. Some have been given few things, some have been given much, but if you have been given things, I do really believe I can't just sit here, be comfortable, have my, bottle of wine every night and sit at the beach. I mean, I could do that, but I think I would get tired of that very, very quickly. And I do have so much more to give. I do have so much more that I can contribute, and but I can only contribute this at this point if I master this. And once I've mastered this, the world is my oyster. It also means, because it is something that is so on the other side of the planet for me, that if somebody else needs to learn this because they're in the same situation as me, they want to help as well, that I can help them get there. Because there are few people who have made quite as radical a shift from, the non-selling side to the selling side as I have now. So, and I'm already seeing some of the fruits of breaking through, one block after the other, and suddenly being able to do things that I wasn't able to do, I haven't been able to for a long time. So this is a beautiful, it is beautiful. It is a struggle, and it is, scary in times. And I'm going to a different country now, again, and where I'm going, which is going to be between Frankfurt and Gelsenkirchen somewhere. I don't know. Well, I do have family there, but I haven't seen them, in ages, because my parents didn't really keep contact with them, and they are also not at all into, what I'm going to be going into there now. And they don't have any resources and stuff. So it is not that I'm going somewhere where, I'm going to have all this support network at all. I'm going to be by myself again, plus I'm going to have a rather bigger family now with me. So it is scary, but it is also exciting, and it is what I need to do in order to grow, I think. So what is your next step? What is your next step to get to the next level, to get to something that you always dreamed about, but that you can never quite achieve? What is the next step that you have to master to get there? This is it for me. Anyway, so just as mentioned, a few announcements. From now on, the podcast will be a lot less frequent, because it doesn't really make sense if I do a podcast twice a week, or even every week, and I'll tell you, yeah, I still haven't made any progress yet. I may be making huge progress, huge steps in the next few weeks, and then I will do a podcast. But sometimes I may be too busy. I don't know what's coming. So I will wait until I have something that is actually of value to anybody who listens to it, and then I will publish it. Please do subscribe, though, and take a look at the new things that are coming out. There are also a lot of different things on the website that may be of interest to you. There's a 16-day training on change management on the website. There is a love challenge, which is, I think, about 20 days or so. If you find yourself in a situation where you really can't see any love in the world anymore, take a look at that. And that was something where I found, where my heart had gone cold, and I had to actually discover that again. And there are all kinds of different things as well, different little trainings that you can take a look at. There is a course if you, found yourself out of a job and you want to go for an employed job, not the entrepreneurial job. I'm not going to teach you how to become an entrepreneur at this stage. I will once I've gotten broken through, but that is obviously something that I still need to work on. But I'm very good at working myself into employed jobs, because I've done it so many times before. When something happened like COVID-19, not quite on the worldwide scale, but on a scale that was basically for me the world, right? Suddenly something came from the outside, took it all away, and I had to learn something else. I'm very good at working myself into new things, and I did put a course in place for that, to help people to avoid some of the pitfalls that I had in the beginning that I don't have anymore now. So that you can also find on the website, which is www.nevelle.co.uk. Nevelle is like Neville, only all E's, and you can find all of that there. If you Some of the things are maybe not on the first page that you see, but if you go down and you click on blog, you come to the normal website, and then you can see all kinds of links, right? Also, if you're interested in coaching in something, for example, in, relationship coaching, or anything that has to do with change management and how to get through change, how to get your mindset ready, how to get through politics in an organization, how to get around things without being too confrontational. Sometimes you cannot avoid confrontation, but sometimes you can also find ways around those who want to sabotage change, which is about 17% in every change. And that is not my figure, that is IBM's figure, as far as I remember. Um, if you want to understand some of the techniques that I found in my practical work, which you will not find in change management books, please do contact me, and we can have a free clarity session, which I offer at the moment. And then we can take it from there and see if this is right for you. So I have a Spanish number at the moment yet, but so the best way to contact me at the moment is by email, which is info@nevelle.co.uk. Again, info@nevelle, all E's, like Neville, just all E's, .co.uk, so co.uk. And tell your family and friends. And I wish you all the best and a wonderful summer. And remember, it is never too late.